What is the best way to get to Cole Palmer in FPL in the next few game weeks? We're going to be discussing my transfer plans over the next few weeks, looking ahead to that fixture swing in game week 12, and how I am preparing myself so I am best equipped to succeed in the next few game weeks. So if you enjoy it, drop a like down below. It takes 1 second, and do subscribe as well. If you're a fan of FPL content, then this is the place to be for daily FPL content. And we'll jump straight into it, so we've got a lot to discuss in this video. So I wanted to start off by showing you the team that I've currently got ready for next week with the transfer page. Currently we've got 0.1 in the bank, and we do have 3 free transfers after our wildcard a few weeks ago. We're in quite a nice position, I would say, overall. So going through the team, well, obviously the main problem is in this team, you'd say, is that there is no Cole Palmer. Now, I know that's a massive issue this week with Cole Palmer playing against Liverpool away. Now, he could very well return, yes, but I'm not absolutely desperate to make a transfer move to bring him in this week due to that fixture. So looking at the players that I'm unhappy with in my team, who I am looking to move on in the future, the main problem for me is Luis Diaz, of course. Aslan was not a problem at all, but he is someone that would have to probably make way for a move to Cole Palmer. He would have to be where I'd get the funds. There's also Dominic Solanke, who isn't 100% certain in my team going forward. And there's a few players that I'm looking to move on and kind of swap about before the game week 12 fixture swing. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But we'll show you my potential options to maybe move to Cole Palmer, not this week, but potentially in game week 9. So as you can see on screen is the first way that I will be moving to Cole Palmer if I do go on to get him, which I still very well might not go for him in game week 9. Who knows? But the chances are I probably will be going for Cole Palmer. Now, the number one option here is a good option, but I do like the second option as well, which is a little bit more of a risky strategy. But the second option is more kind of how I want my team to be structured going in to potentially the game week 12 fixture swing. But this is one of the options here. This will be a 3 transfer move. We currently have 3 transfers, so we could do it this week if we wanted to. But as I said before, I'm not massively... I don't want to use all my 3 transfers this week when Cole Palmer's playing against Liverpool, and he might blank. Obviously, as I said, he could return. But then I'm swapping a lot about, and I don't think I really need to. I'm not desperately I'm not in desperate need to do them kind of swaps just yet. So, starting off with the first move, it would be Trent Alexander-Arnold down to 8 nouri. Now, another reason is because 8 nouri this week is playing Man City. I wouldn't really want to move to him in the week like that, even though he would just be sat on my bench if I did move on to him this week and I'd just play Ola Aina against Crystal Palace at home. But, yeah, that'll be the move for me. Trent Alexander-Arnold down to 8 nouri. He's the number 1 defender that I'm looking to bring in around that kind of 4.5 million price point. So I'd be happy to make that move, absolutely, and that will be the most likely move I would do in game week 9 because Trent Alexander-Arnold does play Arsenal away, and Wolves fixtures do turn in more game week 10. They have Brighton away in game week 9, which is not a great fixture in all fairness, but from game week 10, Wolves fixtures do get really nice. So 8 nouri for me is the player I'd look to bring in. Now, I mean, I wish we could make the move straight away from then Cole Palmer, well, Luis Diaz out to Cole Palmer in, but we wouldn't be able to do that. We'd have like 0.2 million, with 0.2 million off being able to fund that two transfer swap. So we would have to move either Semenyo in this option or Rodgers, as I say, there's both in this option 1, down to a Tyler Diblin, which it isn't the end of the world moving one of them 2 down. I mean, the thing is that Bournemouth fixtures get really good in game week 12, and it is actually quite risky going without Rodgers due to the fact that he's very highly owned around, active players in FPL. So I'm not 100% keen on that, but it does kind of make my benching decisions a little bit easier having Tyler Diblin. He'd be obviously sat on the bench for the majority of weeks. When you got players like Rodgers and Semenyo, you feel like you're regretting slightly benching them because Semenyo's a very good player for Bournemouth and he's quite highly owned. But then Rodgers as well is also very, very highly owned, and he's done pretty well so far for Aston Villa. So that does kind of get rid of the benching headache, but it also makes your team a little bit weaker and a little bit riskier going without players that have good fixtures coming up in Rodgers and Semenyo. And then the move that I am going to be making at some point, it's just only a matter of time before I make the move, it will be Luis Diaz up then to Cole Palmer, which is quite a simple move in terms of that's the easiest player to move on to Cole Palmer. He's the closest player that I'd like to get rid of in price-wise to Cole Palmer. And as I say, Trent Alexander-Arnold, with the fixtures coming up for Liverpool, getting rid of him could potentially be justified, as I said. So I wanted to show you the option 2 as well. Let me know which one you think is the best. We'll show you after this my kind of team that I'm looking to go for in game week 12, my kind of team that I'd like to be moving towards to get ready for that game week 12 fixture swing, because I'm quite happy, as I say, with the fixtures of my team now. So I'm kind of more just gearing my thoughts towards the game week 12 fixture swing, so I'm absolutely prepared for it. And as I say, I've got 3 transfers in the bank, so I'm in a nice position in terms of I've got a lot of transfers already sat there, so I don't have to be taking hits and stuff like that. I'm in quite a nice position. So The option 2 would be, as I said, this is a little bit more of a risky strategy. So again, it would be Trent down to 8 Nouri, and it would be Luis Diaz up to Cole Palmer. Those are the players that I'm pretty set on moving towards to get to Cole Palmer. But as I said, the other one is potentially going from Dominic Solanke, who he's been alright. He's not been anything to write home about in terms of he's not got massive hauls and he's not absolutely like punished managers who don't have him, and he's not a player that loads of people are looking to bring in and stuff like that. He has got quite a few people that own him, to be fair, but that move will be Dominic Solanke down to Cunha, and as you can see, it will give me 0.8 in the bank as well, which is quite nice. Now, Cunha's fixtures, I said before, touching on 8 Nouri. His fixtures turn from game week 10, but for Cunha, you could argue it turns from game week 9 because Brighton away for Wolves isn't a bad fixture going forward because Brighton haven't been the best defensively so far this season. So Cunha would actually be a decent move against Brighton. I'd be so happy to play him. So it is obviously risky then moving the Solanke on, but as I said before, we'll talk about my kind of structure that I'm looking to gear towards in game week 12, and then this will make a little bit more sense because it might not make sense you're saying in game week 9 you're moving on Solanke, who's got good fixtures in the next few games, to a Cunha, who has also got good fixtures as well, but is it a bit of a strange move? So that's what I was thinking there, and I do want Cunha really for that good run of fixtures for Wolves. Wolves have been pretty good going forward, despite the fact they have been terrible in the league in terms of their performances. I get defensive performances, I think it's fair to say. Going forward, they actually haven't been that bad at all. So the other option 2 move would be Solanke to Cunha. Now we could obviously do a little bit. We could change a little bit more. We could even go for Trent then down to Konate. We could just about afford that, and then we could have Konate or 8 Nouri. But 8 Nouri is kind of the one that I'm looking at going for in the longer term. So let me know what you think. Would you go for option 1 or option 2? But I want to show you now my kind of team that I'm looking to gear towards in game week 12. If obviously things can change very quickly in FPL, we know that. But ideally, if things do go to plan, this will be the kind of team I'm looking to gear towards for game week 12, and it doesn't actually use a lot of my free transfers as well. So as you can see on screen now is the team I'll be looking more towards for game week 12. Now, I only actually am using 4 transfers to get across this, so technically next week, if I wanted to, I could absolutely move to that kind of this team I'm looking at now without taking any hits at all, and I'd be pretty well prepared for the fixture swing. You can argue, as you can see, Rico Lewis is still there. He could be one that could potentially be gone before game week 12 as well, with the transfer out to maybe like a Leif Davis or someone like that. It depending on how Rico Lewis is getting on with his minutes and how Man City defend him, because City's fixtures do get a little bit tougher in game week 12. But the transfers, as you can see here, that I'm looking at, the midfield is largely the same, except from it'll be Luis Diaz to Cole Palmer. And then in defence, it will just be, as I said, the transfer from Trent down to 8 Nouri. And then up front is where it would be a little bit different. So, as I said before, Solanke would have to move down. It's a transfer I wouldn't really want to make, but it might. I mean, as I say, Solanke's fixtures do get a little bit worse from game week 12 onwards, when he plays Man City especially. And then I'd have Cunha, who's got a good run of fixtures. And the other transfer would be Chris Wood, Chris Wood's got a good next 4 games, so I'd have Chris Wood for the next 4 games. And then on game week 12, I would probably move to a Brighton attacker. That's Welbeck in there now. That could be João Pedro, who's on his road to recovery from injury for Brighton. It could be João Pedro or Danny Welbeck, depending on how João Pedro is doing at that time. But if João Pedro was fit and firing, I'd probably go for João Pedro in that slot where Welbeck is. But then that'll be the transfers. And then you're looking at it, you've got double Wolves for the good fixtures, even though they have not been great so far in terms of their points total, but they could potentially improve with the fixtures. Brighton's fixtures get really good in game week 12, like really, really good from game week 12 to 16. They've got the best run out of any other team. I'd still have Semenyo, who's equally got a really good run from game week 12 to 16. And Rodgers also has good fixtures as well. I would have a massive benching dilemma. That is the problem. That's why you could maybe justify going down from a Semenyo or Rodgers to a Tyler Diblin. So then you don't have that benching headache. Then you don't have that potential of getting a lot of points on your bench. And then you could also spend the money that you get from Rodgers down to Tyler Diblin or Semenyo down elsewhere on upgrade the defence or something like that. So the potential, there's a lot of things that I could be doing for the game week 12, but I do like the fact that I've got 3 free transfers and I can sit and kind of, I don't have to make my decision just yet because I'm quite happy with the team going into game week 8, even though I do have Luis Diaz. But yeah, let me know what you think of that in the comment section down below. Obviously, I'm very prepared. I'm trying to get as prepared as I can for this game week 12 fixtures run, with me being, I feel, in a nice position post wildcard. So let me know what you think of that. What's your plans going into game week 12? And thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.